I sold you on it, huh? Yeah, it's really cool.
That's way better than anything I'm going to talk about today. And scene.
It's not a contest.
Welcome to the Photography Opinion Podcast. We discuss all things photo, video, and camera related. I'm Ben Lucas.
And I'm Stuart Marlantis.
And this is Photo Op.
So as we mentioned on our last episode of how not to be a guy with camera, which you should definitely listen to, we're going to do something a little bit lighter this week. We're going to talk about our favorite gear, or at least some of our favorite gear. Sometimes it's hard to pick. We've picked roughly 5-ish things each as a list of,
I don't know.
of
It's a
gear
list.
to discuss. It's a list of favorite gear. This is not something we need to overthink. We're going to jump into it.
Absolutely.
Our favorite gear.
One of the things we have already talked about is we have talked about the things, essentials you should buy that are not camera gear.
Yes.
So if you're curious about that, definitely go check out that episode. But today, and we've also talked about best lenses for different kinds of photography. So that's
Yes, we
another
have.
one. There will be links to both of those episodes in the description. But today we're just talking about favorite gear. What do you use all the time for everything?
Cool. Sounds good.
Go. Hit me. Number one. What you got?
So I went for some, again, not camera-related gear, not lens-related gear. I shoot Sonys and Panasonics for the most part. We're not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about something related to those cameras and to video shooting in general. It's the blind spot NPF battery charger thing. So this is one of my favorite pieces of gear because, one, you can slot an NPF battery in there and it turns it into multiple USBs or 12 volt out. It turns it into USB-C, but it also is a charger. So you can, if you don't have another charger in your bag, and sometimes NPF battery chargers are pretty big, you can throw this tiny little thing into your bag and charge batteries in a pinch with micro USB or any input. Pretty much, you'll have something that'll work with this. The other cool thing is because it's got this barrel jack out, you can run that into a dummy battery for any camera. I mean, they've got dummy batteries for Canon, for Sony, for Panasonic, whatever. So you can use this to run monitors, run your camera. It's got a great little a little tripod mount there, so you can attach it to a cage. It is super cool, super tiny. I use it all the time. It lives in my bag. It is one of my favorite pieces of gear. Done.
Holy shit. Send me that. I want one.
Okay. I sold you on it, huh? Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's way better than anything I'm going to talk about today.
It's not a
and
contest.
scene.
It's not a contest.
No, my number one is a color checker. So I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but color checker. So this one is made by X-Rite, and it does two things. One, you take a shot under weird lighting, and you can click on. It has blue to slightly tinted orange levels of gray. So you can one-shot color correct all of your Lightroom stuff by simply just clicking on the appropriate center gray. So on the people, that is center gray. On the landscape, they have their own center gray. And then you can warm or cool your photo by clicking on the off-color gray as necessary. The other half of this is the color checker that has your vibrant color spectrum. And you can create a camera profile using the included software. By the way, this episode is not sponsored by anyone. These are just all of our own plugs because we love stuff.
This is stuff.
Hashtag not sponsored. Yes, but you can use the included software to create a camera profile, and you should do this for every. They recommend doing it for every single shoot. I don't. I'm lazy. I do it for every single camera. So I've got a profile for my Canon camera. I've got a profile for my new Lumix camera. Yeah, you create your profile, and actually on one of my 5D Mark IIIs, the blue is kind of like a weird tame blue, so it bumps up a little bit. On the other 5D Mark III, the blue actually goes out of gamut. So as soon as I apply the color checker profile, it actually knocks that back down to versus the Adobe RGB kind of blows that out. So it just kind of brings all of your colors, no matter what your sensor is, back into the correct color spectrum that you can then use for color grading. On the flip side, I normally never ever use this side. I usually just pop it out as a kickstand, but it has a second flip side that you can write down the date you first used it, and they actually recommend replacing it after 2 years. But I've had this thing, I want to say, like 10 years, so...
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. But they've just got a big neutral gray, which is excellent for shooting from a distance, or if you're trying to zoom in on it and do your manual white balance for video. I know cameras have that where you can zoom in on a perfectly gray thing and then use that image as your reference image to set your white balance. So you can do that from this side, or if you're shooting just photos and not video, you can do it in post using the other side. So this is my favorite thing. I carry it with me next to my wallet most of the time. It is pretty much always on me, and I use it for everything. For product photography, it is an absolute must-have. I swear to God, if you're shooting product photography and you don't have a color checker, you need to get out right now and buy one. But I also find it super useful when I'm shooting events or portraits and you have weird mixed lighting. You're in a room where you have a fluorescent sign and a window light and an incandescent light bulb, and they're just all mixing weird, and you want to make sure that your model's skin looks like skin. I talked about that way too long, but it's crazy important. Get one.
They are. I have one too. Definitely get one.
I actually have a bonus. You print. We're gonna link to the. I think it's Thingiverse. There's a 3D holder that you printed for me that is incredible for just attaching your color checker to a light stand, so you don't have to balance it awkwardly. I love it. It's great. Cool. Thank you for printing it for me.
No problem. Another favorite thing of mine is actually something that I'm wearing right now. It is these headphones. Are we wearing the same ones? We might be. At least the ones that I'm wearing, which I think are the same ones you're wearing, are the Sony MDR 7506 headphones, 06 headphones. They're really great. They're basically the industry standard. They compact relatively small for throwing in your bag. I mean, the reason why I like these is they're pretty much bulletproof, and two, they are always consistent. Like any pair of MDR 7506 headphones sounds the same as every other one. They're great for productions for that reason. You can throw them on anybody in any situation, monitoring a camera, monitoring audio recording equipment. They're just like the headphones for production, and I use them all the time. I even use them for recording podcasts in a studio environment. So they are my go-to headphones. I've got a lot of headphones, but these are the ones that by far get the most use, and they are my favorites for that reason.
I am 99% sure those are the same ones that I have. They were these were actually gifted to me from a studio that I worked at because they were just in the junk closet, and the ear pads were basically non-existent, and they're like, cool, if you want them, take them. And then so for $20 I bought new ear pads. I do have a backup headphone suggestion. If you are cheap and you want something that is not necessarily indestructible, but you won't mind too much if you throw it in your bag and the cord gets ripped out, Monoprice sells some headphones that it has a removable cable. They're very cheap, they're relatively comfortable, and the removable cable means that it will not strip the cable out, and now you have destroyed your headphones. If you ruin the cable, you just get a new auxiliary cable and plug it in.
Yeah, that's my only gripe with the MDR 7506 is they would be perfect if they had a removable cable, and of course if they were cheaper, I suppose.
I've actually got a second pair of headphones underneath my desk here that is one of the more expensive ones with a removable cable.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, the Sony MDR 7506 headphones, they are the workhorse of headphones. You'll see them everywhere.
They're good for everything. So that's a video workhorse. Let's talk photo workhorse. So my absolute favorite lens, bar none, 7200. So when I went to buy my 70, I actually have it on my desk right here because I'm not good about putting away my camera gear when I'm when I'm done offloading photos.
It's good for illustration.
Yeah, great for illustration. So I own a Sigma 7200 because when I was buying it, I was broke and I could not afford the Canon version. Let me tell you, this thing is heavy. It is a monster because Sigma apparently doesn't know how to make lightweight lenses. They make beautiful glass at half the price, and the compromise is the form factor and weight. I also like that it's all black, so it doesn't have the white Canon barrel. But, you know, if you get the Canon one, those are all beautiful lenses too. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But 7200, I shoot almost everything with it. I shoot 90% of a wedding day with it. I shoot portraits with it. I even shoot some landscape stuff with it because I can shoot wide at 70. Just back up far enough. It gives a nice kind of compressed feel to the frame, and yeah, I love it. If I had to choose a close second, I'm gonna sneak a second one in here, is my 85. Also another lens that I have sitting on my desk right here because I am prepared for these episodes. Yeah, so we got the 85 here, and the thing that I like about the 85 rather than the 50 is if you are doing headshots, 50 gives you that bulbous nose, and the 85 doesn't. So when you have it wide open, you don't want your model turned at all. You want them looking straight on because otherwise one eye will be in focus and the other eye will not. But yeah, I love this. And then the little bonus here is I use a rubber lens hood. So it makes it a lot easier than you saw me just now unscrew the lens hood for my 7200. But for the 85, you can just pop it like that. And if you want to introduce a little bit of sun flare, you can just kind of peel back the hood as needed. So yeah.
Excellent. I have one that's a favorite of mine that I'm actually going to lend you here pretty soon for an upcoming trip, and that is a portable solid-state drive. So this is actually a DIY kit, sort of. This particular one is from Sabrent or whatever. Basically, you pop an NVMe SSD in here, and then it puts it in this nice aluminum box with a USB-C output. I use this a ton. I used it when I went to Japan about 6 months ago. This is like my new portable storage. You can run them off of your phone. You can run them off of a laptop. You can get this is USB-C, but you can get USB-C to USB-A cables for them. I have literally done things as crazy as connect a USB hub to my phone and then plugged a card reader into one USB and this into another and copied it over to have a really quick backup from my camera. So it's they are super nice. They're quite inexpensive to put together, even one like this yourself. It's just a couple screws. They're really, really, really fast, and they don't break like mechanical hard drives do. I've been on more than one production that's used mechanical hard drives in the field that have been bumped around too much, that have been dropped off a table, and there has been, thankfully when I've been there hasn't been data loss. It's been recoverable, but this is the way to go. And depending on your camera, if you're shooting a lot of video, increasingly cameras or recorders have the capability to record into external storage, and these are plenty fast enough for
which is super useful for video.
Super useful for video. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned mechanical hard drives. I actually do have a bunch of mechanical hard drives in these little cases here, but those never leave my studio.
Yep.
So they're not prone to getting jostled or bumped. If you need on-the-go storage, so I'm about to go on a big backpacking glacier trip. Depending on where this episode, when it comes out, I might be back already. But yeah, so having something that is on the go that can be thrown in a bag and jostled around, you do not want mechanical hard drives. SSD all the way.
Exactly.
Let's see. Something else that I just throw in my bag and good to go, even if I'm out shooting landscapes, is a Speedlite. I see the Speedlite bags on my desk. I don't see an actual light. Where's the...
That's all right.
You know what they look like.
Speedlite. They all look the same, kind of.
Speedlite. They're all the same.
Yeah.
I did a review years ago about the Amazon Speedlite that people are still watching, but my recommendation in that video is no longer my current recommendation because these things change at quite a clip.
Technology changes. What?
Technology changes and gets better and cheaper. Crazy, I know, right? Anyway, having a Speedlite, if you are a natural light photographer, unless you're Danny Diamond, I'm gonna call BS on you, because natural light generally means I am scared of flash, and I'm gonna cover some tutorials on that eventually in the future. But no, having a Speedlite, if you are just doing a quick thing and you want to shoot people, being able to have that in your bag. You know what? I'm gonna piggyback on this one too. Pocketwizards. I love Pocketwizard. They're a great brand. I know that there are cheaper brands. If you shoot, you know, Ellen Chrome, they have their own. If you shoot Profoto, they have their own. If you shoot Godox, I think they have their, like, there are these other ones, but there are also just cheaper generic triggers that kind of just work with anything. There are a few very specific reasons that I chose Pocketwizard, but all in all, their stuff is stable and reliable. And actually, I personally like the +3s, and I will Velcro my Speedlite to the side of the trigger like that. And the reason why I like the +3s, I know that they have some other versions that are made specifically for Speedlights that slip into the hot shoe, and you can trigger them that way, and they look a little less jankety. However, I have had nothing but problems with that model and feature, from the hot shoe just coming slightly on, off, to the thing just not receiving correctly. So no, these +3s, which I'm pretty sure they have like new versions of, but they're just tried and true, work amazing. The antenna is built into this little plastic cap, so it can't break off like some of their older models that have actual antennas. Yeah, I just love it. If you do have a Speedlite that has built-in triggering capacity, then you can use, master commander modes, that type of thing. That's fine too. That works. But having a Speedlite, whether you're shooting a portrait or if you shoot landscapes and you just need like a pool of light in the thing, you can do a long exposure and you can walk around and just pop the Speedlite in several different places, and you have this kind of beautifully lit front foreground scene. So yeah, always useful in every situation.
Yep. Don't be afraid of adding light. You don't need to be a natural light photographer only just because you're afraid of light. It's not scary.
It's not. So I know I packed a couple of mine all right next to each other. So hit me with what you got. What do you got?
All right. So another one that is legitimately one of my favorites, although it's a pretty common one, is a knife or multi-tool. I always carry one unless I'm not allowed to on a plane or something. I personally like the Leatherman Wave for like a big multi-tool. But I would highly encourage you, if you're watching this and thinking about stuff that you might want to add to your bag, look around. Find one that has the tools that are useful to you. I use the screwdrivers all the time. I use the knife all the time. But depending on the trip you're going on or where you'll be traveling, certain things might be legal or not legal to bring. So I actually have a couple different multi-tools and knives and stuff that I carry depending on the shoot that I'm doing. For example, you wouldn't carry one like this, which is a very large Kershaw, which I really like Kershaw knives, but I think this one's on the verge of like what you can legally carry in Seattle. For example, Seattle has like a 3.5-inch blade length law. So be careful. Look up your local laws. If you're traveling, don't bring a blade with you. That, at least on a plane, that would be bad. Pick a multi-tool that fits your shooting and your work the best. And for me, for the most part, it's a Leatherman Wave unless I'm going in a plane.
I also bring a multi-tool. My Leatherman, I think I got when I was 8 in like Cub Scouts. So I don't remember the model. I could probably use a new one, but it holds up just fine. There's actually another multi-tool that I use that's incredibly useful. I have a bike hex wrench set.
Those are cool. Mm-hmm.
So it is advertised as a bike repair kit. However, there's a bunch of random camera gear, mostly tripod stuff, that has different sized hex wrench screws. And so just having that hex wrench kit in my bag, I bought one. I went to Iceland and a screw came loose on my tripod and it wouldn't lock. And I was in the middle of Iceland, and we went to a restaurant, and that restaurant happened to be under construction. And so I walked out to one of the guys doing construction, and I was like, "Excuse me, do you happen to have a hex wrench in your tools over there that I can tighten this with?" And they were really nice, and they helped me out. But I said, that's the very last time I'm gonna be caught without a set of hexes. So, yeah, I'm gonna throw that one on top.
Excellent.
What else you got for us?
So one that again potentially seems obvious, but is legitimately one of my favorite pieces of gear is a portable USB-C card reader. Now, most people, they go out and shoot, they come back and they load in their photos at the end of the day with a card reader that sits on their desk or is nearby their computer.
But you've got that fancy portable SSD, so you need a portable card reader.
Exactly. So I have this little portable card reader, also by Sabrent, not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored.
I just like some of the stuff that they make. This has USB-C on one side and USB-A on the other, and this particular one is a micro SD and SD card slot reader. It's really nice. I like being able to put stuff on my phone if I want to share it on social media. I like being able to be on a shoot if somebody's got a laptop or something, if it doesn't have a card reader, which is increasingly common, unfortunately, nowadays.
Mac!
Yeah, Macs. I can just plug this in and be like, here you go. Grab this photo, grab this clip. It's great for backups on a trip. I have tons of these, like not necessarily this exact one, but I've got tons of small portable card readers because I use them all the time, and they're pretty much in every bag. They never leave any of the bags that I have. It's a good way to go, and it has saved me so many times. So it's legitimately one of my favorite pieces of gear.
Awesome. All right, the last thing that I had on my list, it goes along with the long tangent that I went on with speedlights and triggers. But when you have a speedlight like this, and you're out and you decide, you know what, I'm going to take a quick portrait, and you set it up and you aim it at your model, now you get this really harsh, gross light pointed straight at their face. So you need portable diffusion. So my last kind of favorite here is the Westcott Rapidbox. So it is a very small portable. Look at the size of this bag. For those of you listening, it is roughly 1.5 feet long by fist or size 2 wide. And it pops out to be, I think, a 24-inch, something like that, softbox. So incredibly useful. It's very easy and quick to assemble, and it gives you a nice soft light. And actually, when I bought it, it did not come with a deflector plate, but then you bought one and it did have a deflector plate, and I said, dang it, I'm getting a deflector plate. Because sometimes I do like having it more beauty dish style, where I can rip off that front reflector and still have that kind of nice wide bright light without the soft diffusion on front, especially if you're trying to combat the sun and your speedlight is working its hardest, but it's just losing too much through that diffusion panel. So no, I absolutely love that, and I pretty much bring that with me on every shoot because it's so easy to carry, and it is so incredibly light, and it's so small that if I need a softbox, boom, done. It's easy.
It's pretty much a hikeable softbox.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And actually, I did a video review of the Platypod, which I'll also be bringing on my hike, but I hiked out with the Westcott Rapidbox, and I attached it to a tree.
Nice.
And it's so light that that and my Speedlite and the Platypod all mounted to the side of a tree. I had like one small like tether cable, and like it was good. It was great.
Excellent. So I have one bonus, which is a phone to tripod mount. Here is one for example, it is just a aluminum. Be sure to get an aluminum one, or mostly aluminum one. So this is just one that's a little bit springy. You can tighten it down around your phone. It's got rubber on it so that your phone doesn't get scratched. And then it's got a couple different places where you can attach it to a tripod, on the side, on the bottom, stuff like that. I've got a couple of these ones very similar to this. I've got one that has a little arm so that instead of actually attaching to the tripod on the side for vertical shots. You can attach it, or you can attach it just one way and then turn it. They're really cool. This one's a bonus basically because although you're probably not professionally shooting with your phone, if you want to get some behind the scenes thing, if you want to get a time lapse of you setting up gear, if you want to just, speak to a camera, do like a little tutorial kind of thing, and your phone is the camera you have available to you at the time for that purpose, it's a good way to go. So I actually have one of these in my bag pretty much every time, and I've used them enough that I would say that they're definitely a favorite piece of gear at this point. So just a little tip for you extra social media content producers as well as photographers and videographers.
I mean, more and more, we're all content producers.
Yeah, exactly right. So this is a good way to add a second camera to your bag without really adding a whole bunch of gear.
Awesome. You know what? I think I have one more.
One more?
I want to say that I wrote it down on my list and I skipped it earlier. So the very last thing that I absolutely love, the Thinktank Speedbelt. So they have a few different ones. I really like the heavy duty one. And so the Speedbelt, you have pouches for all of your lenses and flashes and all of that stuff. Do you look like a dork? Yeah, you do. And I have been asked in every YouTube video where I happen to be wearing it in the video, what the heck is that thing that you're wearing? Why do you have a fanny pack? And like people are just like, what is that? It is not for everyone. If you're a studio photographer, you don't need it. If you're going out hiking, you don't need it. There are lots of things where, you probably don't need it. But if you are, shooting weddings and events or some type of photography where setting down your bag has risk of your stuff getting stolen, or setting down your bag and rifling through to find the lens that you need would risk you missing the shot, then just having all of your stuff easily accessible on your person is incredibly useful. So a term that I learned from Adam Savage is first level accessibility. So everything in his workshop studio space has first level accessibility. And what that means is to get this tool, he does not have to move anything out of the way. So there is nothing that is hidden behind a second thing. He can reach and use everything in his workshop by simply grabbing the item. Nothing has to be moved or shuffled around or is hidden behind, like in our pantry right now. I know that if I need to get, the pasta sauce, that's actually behind the beans, and I have to grab the beans, move them out of the way, grab the pasta sauce. So if your bag is packed second or third level accessibility, so everything's packed on top and you're pulling all these things out, where do these things go? They're kind of being strewn all over the place. If you're out hiking, will it fall down the trail? If you're in an urban area, will it get stolen while you're looking for that stuff? So just having it all in its neat little pouch on your person, I have found super useful. Is it crazy expensive? Yeah, it is. I didn't buy one for years and years and years because they're stupidly expensive. But as soon as I bought one, I'm like, dang it, this is worth it.
Yeah.
There's some things worth spending money on.
Well, yeah, and you might look a little dorky, but if your shooting process at an event is super smooth as a result, it is well worth it.
Oh, yeah. Do I look dorky? Yes, but I no longer have to say, 1 second, I need to go grab my lens from the bag that I stashed in the other room. And also, I think even if my bag is at my feet, it has changed my lens change time from maybe about 30 seconds to now like 10 seconds. So I can just, talk with someone, give me a second, clip it on, and now I'm good to go. So
awesome.
Another piece of gear that's for a very specific type of person, but I think it applies to a lot of you. So I thought I'd mention it.
Excellent. So, this show is pretty light and easy. This has been our favorite gear, or at least a first pass attempt at our favorite gear. Is this the exclusive list of our favorite gear? Well, definitely not. This is just some stuff that we haven't really talked about before necessarily, but is cool stuff that we really like to use. and that you might like to use too.
So two things. One, everything we mentioned today, there will be a link to it down in the show notes. And two, we want to know what's your favorite kind of gear. So leave a comment. Tell us what your absolute favorite thing is, whether that is a lens or a camera body or just random photo accessory that you love and think everyone else should get too. So let us know.
We like talking about gear, so help us talk about gear more.
Which is funny because sometimes I don't like talking about gear, and sometimes I do like talking about gear, but that's another topic for another day. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at hello@photo-op.show.
Watch us on Ben's YouTube channel at NomCreative.
As in Om Nom Nom.
Share this with a friend, and you can listen to Photo Op anywhere podcasts are sold.
Or download it. Because it's free.